Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at World War I, 1914 to 1918, the Great War.
A truly pivotal moment in history.
Yeah, and we've got some sources here that aim to really distill it down. Our mission basically is to get the essentials. Why did it happen, and what were the really big impacts? Let's jump in.
Absolutely. And the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, June 28th, 1914, that's always the starting point, isn't it? The immediate trigger.
Right, the spark. But the material we have makes it really clear this wasn't just out of the blue. There was a whole context.
Oh, definitely. You have to look at the decades before. There was serious militarism. Think of the naval arms race, especially between Germany and Britain. That was huge.
And the alliances. This complex web of mutual defense pacts, it sounds like a recipe for disaster, honestly.
It really was. The sources highlight how these agreements basically guaranteed that a fight between two countries could, well, drag everyone else in. A domino effect waiting to happen.
Okay, so militarism, alliances. What else was brewing?
Imperialism was another big one. All the major powers were competing fiercely for colonies, resources, influence. And then there's nationalism.
Nationalism.
Yeah.
Especially potent in certain areas, right?
Extremely. Particularly in the Balkans, where that assassination actually happened. It was a powder keg of ethnic tensions and national aspirations.
So Sarajevo, the assassination by a Bosnian Serb nationalist that just lit the fuse. Austria-Hungary blames Serbia, Russia backs Serbia, Germany backs Austria-Hungary, and boom.
Precisely. The alliance system clicked into gear.
Yeah.
And then thinking about the war itself, the Western Front really dominates the picture, doesn't it? Trench warfare.
Yeah, the sources paint such a grim image. Dug in, miles of trenches, this brutal static warfare.
A horrific stalemate, huge casualties for, sometimes just yards of ground gained and lost. It went on for years like that.
And the technology they were using? Just awful. Machine guns becoming widespread, poison gas.
Truly terrifying innovations, and tanks started appearing too. These things, as the material points out, just amplified the killing on an industrial scale. Unprecedented.
It wasn't just the Western Front, though, was it? It spread.
No, it became a global conflict. The Ottoman Empire joined Germany and Austria-Hungary, the Central Powers. Italy eventually sided with the Allies, France, Britain, Russia initially.
Okay, and then 1917 seems like a really critical year. Things shifted.
Massively. Two huge events. First, Russia pulls out. They have their own revolution sweeping the country.
Big loss for the Allies there.
Huge loss. But then the United States joins the fight on the Allied side.
And what prompted that? Those sources mentioned a couple of key things.
Yes, primarily Germany restarting unrestricted submarine warfare sinking ships, including American ones. And then the Zimmerman telegram came to light.
Right, Germany trying to get Mexico to attack the U.S.
Exactly. That really turned American public opinion. U.S. entry brought fresh troops, resources, and critically, a morale boost for the exhausted Allies.
So the tide turns. Germany makes one last big push in 1918.
They do, the Spring Offensive. But it fails, and the Allies launch their own counteroffensive, the 100 Days Offensive, which pushes the Germans back decisively.
And back in Germany, things were falling apart too.
Yeah, the sources mention growing unrest at home, the economy collapsing alongside the military defeats. It was unsustainable.
Leading to the armistice, November 11th, 1918. The fighting stops. But the consequences, they were just beginning, really.
Oh, absolutely. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 is probably the most famous outcome. Very harsh on Germany.
How so?
Well, it forced Germany to accept full blame for the war guilt clause, and pay massive reparations. Plus, it redrew maps and created the League of Nations, though that had its own issues.
And the empires. This war basically dismantled them.
4 huge empires just collapsed.
Yeah.
The German, the Austro-Hungarian, the Ottoman, and the Russian. Gone. That fundamentally reshaped Europe and the Middle East. The repercussions are still felt today.
And the human cost. It's almost impossible to grasp.
Staggering numbers, something like 16 million dead, 21 million wounded, soldiers and civilians. And beyond the numbers, society changed. Women took on new roles in the workforce, for example.
There was also this sense of disillusionment.
Deep disillusionment, a lost generation feeling that heavily influenced art, literature, culture. It really marked the end of an old world order.
So World War I wasn't just a war. It was a genuine turning point. It ended old systems, shifted global power, and tragically kind of set the stage for future conflicts too.
Without a doubt. Understanding how those factors, the MAIN causes, as they're sometimes called, militarism, alliances, imperialism, nationalism, how they interconnected and led to catastrophe is, well, vital.
It really is, and it makes you think, doesn't it? Considering how quickly alliances and new technologies escalated a regional conflict into a global nightmare over a century ago. What similar dynamics, maybe hidden connections or accelerating factors, might be at play in our world today, even when conflicts seem far away or localized? Something to keep in mind. Thanks for exploring this deep dive with us.